Lewinsky has been featured in over 30 plus rap songs. So who exactly is Monica Lewinsky? Monica Lewinsky is not an artist. She was an intern at the White House, the former US president. She was publicly humiliated for having an affair with said president and was bullied to the brink of suicide. But today, she stands as one of the most influential cyberbullying advocates of our time. What is the point I'm trying to make? Public degradation or shaming of an individual is often used to enforce social norms. It has become a form of entertainment and social punishment where the videos with the most likes, the most clicks, the most views are often the one when someone is being actively embarrassed at, joked, or being publicly humiliated. Teenagers can't be their authentic self because they're scared of being bullied, scared of being called cringe, scared of not fitting into the standards that have been set for them by social media. This is the reason why most teenagers find it hard to reach a certain level of self-actualization. Brene Brown had once said, "Shame is a tool created by society to keep people small, but it loses its power the moment she refuses to agree." Monica Lewinsky refused to remain the woman who was publicly humiliated for having an affair with the president. In the psychology of self-confidence, there is a law called the law of delusion. The law of delusion is a mindset where one acts with irrational, unshakable confidence. It is fake belief in your success until that belief drives actions that produce real and tangible results. In an interview, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said that when you ask a billionaire the key to their success, fame, wealth, recognition, he said that it's not just about hard work, determination, resilience. No, it is about believing in yourself to the point of delusion. Take, for example, Michael Adenuga. He was once a taxi driver, but today he stands as part of Africa's wealthiest men. Take Malala Yousafzai, who was shot in the face by the Taliban, but continued to speak up against oppression and fought for the rights of girls to have an education. Even 50 Cent got shot 5 times, outlived the guys who shot him, and proceeded to become one of the greatest movie and documentary producers of our time, with hits like Sean Combs' The Reckoning or Get Rich or Die Trying. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "The ultimate success in life is not reaching a destination, but reaching a point where your external life is a perfect match for your internal truth." But in a country, in a place where teenagers are more worried about their social standings, whether they're in Nepal or Lapo, when they're more worried about whether your iPhone has a dynamic island or not, whether they use an Android or not, what cars your parents drive, a country where people fight in comment sections over who has suffered more, where poverty is glamorized. So tell me, who will stand up? Say you're one problem. That goes. And it's your man at Shibu at the Didianera phone. Whoever is scared of falling will find rising difficult. All it takes is one voice for thousands to rise up, one voice to lead, one pen, one teacher, one child, one student can change the world. But no one ever wants to take that step. There is a line between the possible and the impossible, but nobody wants to take that step beyond that line. But the moment you put your fears aside, the moment you step beyond that line, realize that the concept of impossible is nothing but an illusion, a facade, it's too a lie. Why? Because the world is a mirror that eventually reflects whatever internal reality you are stubborn enough to maintain. So I'll tell you about the power of selective nonchalance. Selective nonchalance is a reposition of your emotional energy. What do I mean? Your name is invalid unless you answer to it. Stay with me. My name is Jabirah and Bada. If you call me stupid, I wouldn't bat an eye because it is not my name, so therefore I will not answer to it. When you disconnect your sense of self-worth from their lack of tact, you signal that their behavior is not significant enough to warrant your emotional distress. The greatest protection against a narcissist is not arguments, but the total withdrawal of your attention. So the next time somebody calls you stupid, useless, ugly, or any remotely derogatory word, remember that it is not your name, and you will not answer to it. The world will always have something to say. It will call you too loud, too brave, too realistic, too unrealistic, too ambitious, too early, too late. But none of those names belong to you unless you answer to it. You were not born to be reduced to likes, comments, rumors, or labels. You were not created to live inside that small box that fear, shame, and other people's opinions are built for you. You were not created to stay in this world, to spend the rest of your life asking for permission to be who you are. So let me leave you with this. There's a time that will come when you'll be asked, who gets the final say? You or the voices trying to shrink you? Fear or purpose? Comfort or growth? Silence or truth? And maybe, just maybe, change begins with one teenager who decides not to laugh at cruelty and when others are being bullied. One student who chooses authenticity over approval. One voice who refuses to be broken by shame. One voice who says enough. Because history was never changed by people who waited to feel ready. It was changed by people who were doubted, criticized, afraid, but they moved anyway. So let me ask you, When the world calls your name tomorrow, which version of you is going to answer? The one that they built out of fear purpose, the one that they fit into that little box of their tiny expectations, or the one that you forged in the white hot center of your emotional fire? When you leave these doors, you'll be faced with 1,000 whispers telling you who you want to be. You will be told no a million times. You will have the door shut in your face over and over and over and over again until your hands bleed. Let them shut it in your face. Let them tell you no. Why? Because the impossible is a gate. And it's a gate without a key. It only yields, it only opens for the delusional, the gloriously unbothered, and the brave. So I tell you again, you were not created to wait for a seat at a table that was meant to push you out. You have been handed a digital script that tells you you're not enough. You have been handed a digital script that tells you to stay in your lane, to stay realistic, to stay patient. But you will cross that edge over that possibility. You're going to digress away from that digital script, and you're going to make that seat for your soul. You're going to prove to them that whatever script they've given to you is invalid. Because when the world tries to hand you a name that was never yours, you don't accept it. Because it is not your name, and it never ever will be. Thank you.